Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the EUS Challenger Series number 5. We're going into the semi-finals now and it's going to be Eternity versus Peculiar Gaming. I am Spuddington and I am joined today by Dignitas Stress.
Hello, nice to be with you guys and here for the semi-finals. Glad to be in the semi-finals once again. It feels like quite a long, well, I say quite a long time since last week, but I mean, we've had some fantastic games in the past couple of days to keep us all entertained. So, I mean, you know, looking forward to some good games here in the semi-finals as well. And what a game we have for you today. We got Peculiar Gaming going up against Eternity. So, Peculiar, I believe, won the EUS Challenger Series number 2. So they're looking to replicate that success and come back and make it through to the finals.
Yeah, they've been proving themselves a really strong team all across the board with some really nice team comps. They tend to go for a kind of fairly aggressive style, fairly team fight orientated setup, I feel. But obviously they have banned out that Shen and that Twisted Fate today, so looking to avoid the global presence, the split pushing possibilities here. And yeah, I should mention, Stress will be casting from the stream for the duration. I am in the lobby though today, so I should be able to just let him know what's coming out. And but otherwise, if he's talking, he is delayed. So we have actually got Shen, Renekton, Twisted Fate, Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, and Zac.
Yeah, indeed, and that'll only be for the picks and bans phase. When we're into the game, I will be jumping into the client. The reason for that is that there are only 2 spectator slots in the game for picks and bans. So with our streamer in there, and of course Spuddington in there, it means that we can't quite all fit in. But as you said, those are the 6 bans already, fairly standard bans. Renekton hasn't seen a ban in a little bit. That's probably the most surprising there alongside Lee Sin. So still strong champions to ban out though, and on my screen we've got a hover over on Varus, and as I said, a little bit behind.
Yeah, the Varus was in fact locked in, and following that up we've got the Jarvan the 4th and the Thresh pickups. So obviously very strong characters all around, and actually Grulum there locking in the Syndra, almost an insta-lock there. Very solid pick. We've seen some really good play out of, I think it is actually Grulum who plays that Syndra in that mid lane to great effect previously. And I just would say, I think the Renekton ban is probably targeted at Spontex. I think he plays a good Renekton. Don't quote me on that though, my memory is appalling and I dare not check his rent stats for fear of the client crashing.
Yeah, and of course, Spontex, former Dragonborns player, has been picked up by Eternity, so he's a player that had some experience over in the LCS, so a very well-versed player. Wouldn't surprise me if Renekton was one of his top champions. As you said, Grulum on Syndra actually did a very good job at really picking apart Cook My Sock in the games against Dignitas UK earlier this week, so I'm surprised that Grulum's actually been able to get Syndra here. We just saw her decimate not only Cook My Sock, but also Yarrow playing Lissandra. Whenever Lissandra would engage, just instantly got removed from the fight for the first couple of team fights and kept the goal ticking up. And will we see Grulum replicate that kind of performance again today?
Well, it could be a little bit difficult. I do feel like Syndra versus Kassadin is a matchup that will favour Kassadin fairly solidly. Kassadin is obviously incredibly strong from basically the mid game onwards. His laning phase isn't brilliant, but Syndra's early pressure is, it's not brilliant. She's capable of taking people down, but I'm telling it how it is, Bass. I'm going to refer to Super Blob because it is supposed to be an abbreviation, but he's Spur Blob to me and in my heart. So yeah, as I say, Kassadin obviously thrives against lanes that don't put down too much early pressure, and Syndra is, as I say, not so brilliant early on, although she is very good at setting up ganks with that long range stun and with that slow on her W.
Now, here's a question, because when we saw the Syndra going up against Diana matchup on, I believe it was Monday, was when Dignitas UK played, Grulum actually ran hybrid penetration marks, and what that allows you to do for the laning phase is put down a lot of harass on a melee mid lane champion, and of course Kassadin is a melee champion, can be pushed off the wave quite easily. So, will he run the dual penetration marks again, or will he run something different? Because as you said, Kassadin, until he hits level 6, doesn't really start to come into his own when he can reach that mid-game period. So maybe Grulum will go for that again.
I'd be very surprised to see him not go for it, honestly, at this point, because it just suits Syndra down to the ground. She does have a very nice auto attack animation, has a pretty decent base AD. I'm not 100% on that, but you know, it feels very snappy and it seems like a good auto attack animation to my mind. But we are seeing actually an Eve hover over now for this last pick here from Eternity. I'd be a little bit surprised to see it because I wouldn't know where she was going here. Could be a top lane Eve or possibly a placeholder pick. Not 100% certain on that, but no, they are actually swapping it around. It looks like it's going to be a top lane Evelynn here.
That's pretty interesting to me. I mean, on recollection, the only Eve we've really seen in any competitive, unless I might be missing 1 or 2 games over in Korea, I haven't quite caught up with everything going on in OGN, but the only one in recent memory I can remember playing Eve is actually Skara over in the NA promotion relegation tournament, where they hit some big crescendo and Agony's Embrace combos, and he'd just decimate half of the health from the team straight away. And Eve's got that strength. She did. There was that time where it was pretty much you'd only see Eve, Rise, and Twisted Fate in the mid lane. Eve had those slight nerfs, made it so that her ultimate didn't do percentage max health, it was percentage current, which was a fairly big change if you're not engaging with Evelynn. But as long as your engage is with Evelynn, which I'm assuming is what they're going to do here, they're going to have that Cataclysm and Agony's Embrace hitting pretty much at the same time, then Evelynn's still a very strong pick. She's difficult to deal with when she starts roaming, has a lot of damage, and when you use that Agony's Embrace, of course, you get the shield as well, so she can actually soak up a lot of damage at the beginning of a team fight. So Evelynn is still a very strong pick. We don't see her very often, but in the right team composition, very strong champion indeed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how she fares against Jace, and I will probably, when we come back from the break, which will happen in just a second, I will probably regale you of my recent messing around with Eve myself. Obviously, I tried a very, very strange build, which actually sort of worked out, which, as I say, I will mention. But we are going to be going into a break for just a second, so going to be seeing you in just a couple of minutes, people.
Welcome back, guys, to the EU West Challenger Series number 5. We're into the semi-finals. This is game number 1 between Eternity and Peculiar. And you can see Eternity on the red side this time, Peculiar over on the blue. And looks like Peculiar are going for that fairly standard spreading out across the entire map kind of positioning. So it doesn't look like we're seeing anything aggressive from them, but Eternity are grouped 4 and 1 with Thresh coming across to make that 5. Will we see an invade out of Eternity here?
It definitely looks like that's their plan. They have kind of, yeah, as you say, grouped very much up together. They have got the most of the skills committed here, actually, on their team. They've got all but Thresh, in fact, who is going to be saving his point in case he needs that lantern, I suspect. But probably going to be going with that Q first, with that death sentence. I think they do actually look like they may have just been first blood fishing, because they may have suspected an invade was actually coming out of their opponents. There was a fairly strong level 1 on Peculiar Gaming, so they warded out their blue buff, and then they decided to see if their opponents were going to be coming into red buff, because they would probably send one person first to ward that brush, whereupon they would have been summarily executed, frankly. They would have been very unlikely to survive. And I think Stress may have just disconnected, so I'm just going to continue on talking here. It's a little bit peculiar, but see, there's a team called Peculiar. It's not funny, but anyway, Spontex is indeed heading into that top lane. He is running some ability power on his setup here. He actually may be coming around. He's going to be finding JWoww here. He's put down the ward, and now he's going to be having to use Hate Spike to just kind of put down a little bit of damage and then run away. He has got that flask and did get Wraith first, so he's going to have a little bit of an XP advantage, although JWoww, it seems, leached on the wolves, so they're going to be roughly equal on XP. I feel like Spontex is going to have a lot of trouble in this early game here. He's going to have a lot of trouble, in fact, for quite a long time, I feel. I don't know if Eve is ever really going to be able to straight up all in against JWoww, maybe at level 6, but other than that, it's not going to be easy. Eve is hard to shut down, though, obviously fun with Hate Spike, but he is going low now, has been ignited, and is having to flash out. And that's just not a good start there in that top lane. Agent might head towards that lane now, though. He does obviously have that red buff and has used Smite. I suspect he's going to go for this lane gank here. JWoww, his ward is in the river, and I think they do know that Agent is going to be coming around here. Has got the flag, has got the drag. Nothing happening in bot, nothing happening in mid. We have got, as I say, Agent coming in now. Acceleration gate popped. We've got the hammer chains. That's going to give him that little bit of a movement speed buff. Agent goes in. He does get the knock up. He does get the red buff. This is doing a bit of damage here. JWoww going quite low, but it's not going to be enough, and Agent is just going to retreat out. And giving Spontex that little bit of time to farm up. Obviously, that's going to be good, but it does look like amazing. Might go and steal these wraiths while he's waiting. And I hope that that sound that I just heard in my ear was the sound of Stress reconnecting.
It is indeed. I'm sorry, my internet went down randomly. Hopefully that'll mean I'm back alright. Looks like not a lot's happened. Slight gold leaders. Super Bowl actually caught out behind the tower. I just managed to catch that out. Amazing. Getting in behind the tower with Nautilus. Will get knocked up in front of the turret, though. Turret aggro is not on him, though, so not really taking all that much damage from Jarvan. And Agent's just going to hold this mid lane.
Yeah, and that's a good start there for Syndra. Obviously, as I say, her early pressure isn't particularly strong on her own, but she does set up ganks very, very effectively. When she hits level 6, she'll start to really get a lot of burst too, and if she hits 6 before Spurblob, which is what I'm going to keep calling him, he will obviously have a lot of trouble staying even in XP range until he can hit that level 6, because he's just not going to have much of an answer to that QE, R combo. It's just so much damage that'll come out, and that's scary. That's scary if you're Kassadin. Obviously, the one weakness for Kassadin really is falling behind early. He obviously has now fallen behind a little bit. He is also on 11 CS to 24 on Syndra. That's also a pretty significant difference between the two of them. But we are seeing Agent in this bottom lane now.
Yeah, Death Sentence not quite going to land. Agent's going to get the Lantern in, will go in with the Demacian Standard, and Matraco actually forced to flash out there, so that won't be available for him, and that's a necessary summoner for Varus to stay fairly safe in lane, especially when they're quite pushed up like that. You can see already that attempt at the Lantern gank means that Eternity aren't really afraid to pull out Javan from pretty much behind up in his jungle with that Lantern, and you know, they might even avoid going over the river since they know it's warded. It looks like Agent and Amazing are going to be trading a little bit here in the jungle side mid lane, but not able to get enough damage down. Just making sure I'm caught up with all of the action, guys. I think I might be a little bit behind.
Yeah, it's certainly the case that Agent there was taking quite a lot of damage for the privilege of, well, actually not doing very much. We do have Spontex roaming into this mid lane. He's only level 5, so he doesn't have any CC. Kassadin is obviously unable to help as well, but he is just going to stick at the moment. Grulum has used his stun. It's going to be on cooldown for another 10 seconds. Spontex is just sticking and is actually going to kill at that bottom lane. Varus there going down, in fact, to Thresh, so not a bad situation there. And Spontex put quite a lot of damage down on Grulum because there was no stun. And obviously now he's going to be able to get back to top lane pretty quickly. He might run face first into JWoww though, which could be a very painful experience.
Yeah, we did manage to catch it on stream, what happened in that bottom lane. With Flash down on Varus, as I was saying, doesn't really have much of an escape. Flash was actually used by Thresh to pick up that kill. They had both Varus and Lulu very low. And that's one of the dangers of that Varus-Lulu composition, especially in a 2v2 lane. I think they were expecting the lane swap in this game, so left their double lanes bot, expecting to just push into the turret. But they've done a good job with Jarvan as well to just cover all of that pressure. And they've punished them from pushing so hard in that bottom lane and come out with a kill in that lane. So 1 kill apiece for these teams here as we head towards the 7-minute mark.
And in top lane, we've actually got Agent getting aggressive. JWoww is actually in a lot of trouble here. Acceleration gate goes down. We've got the flag and drag going in, and the auto attack picks up the kill. So very nicely played there. Agent was kind of biding his time, and you actually see Spontex has done a really good job of controlling the vision in this top lane. He's aware that he's not nearly as strong of a duelist as Jay, so he's been committing quite a lot of gold into pink wards, quite a lot of gold into making sure he's able to roam out of his lane undetected and make sure that Jarvan is capable of ganking for him. And he's hit level 6 now, which is going to make those future ganks much more scary from the perspective of JWoww.
And now Grulum and Superblob are actually traded at level 6. Grulum looks like he didn't have enough mana for his ultimate when he wanted to use it. And Superblob actually put down a lot of damage onto him. Took him to pretty much 1 tick of Ignite's worth away from killing. Very low on health. And quite surprising actually that you see that against a Syndra lane, because as we said, she's got so high burst damage at level 6 that to see Superblob on nearly full health after that trade is somewhat a little discouraging for Grulum, because it meant he couldn't quite catch on. Dredgeline will go in with Amazing, but he doesn't really have the minions or the backup there to do anything, so I think he's just deterring him from that recall.
Yeah, it's just going to be, you know, as you say, a delay. And time is money, but, friend, but it's not going to be costing too much here. Obviously, the recall time, I think, is about, what, it's 7 seconds exactly, isn't it? Or is it 8? It's one of those two numbers.
Depending on whether he's taken the improved recall mastery, so it is one of those two.
Because I know one of the tricks that I kind of was taught by someone, and we actually do potentially see Spontex going to be committing badly here. We've got JWoww now knocking him back. Amazing is in from the background, and we are going to be seeing the depth charge going down, the damage going down, Spontex going down. That's a good setup there. And yeah, like I say, one of the little tricks you can do is when you're chasing someone down and you think they've gone into a certain brush, it's just to start counting. Just start going 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know, continuing up until 7, because then you'll know if you're actually going to be able to get to the brush more accurately. But we are seeing Grulum hanging around in the spot lane. The ward did just run out, but I think it will have spotted him there.
Yeah, up in that top lane, what happened was Spontex actually, as you said earlier, this pink ward is controlling the lane a lot. And one of the problems when playing against an Evelynn is that if she disappears, it's very difficult to tell whether she's just stealthed in the lane. There is a trade in the bot lane. Matraco forced to use that barrier, did manage to catch on to that just as it ended up happening. But 3 on 1 down in that bottom lane. Looked like Lulu managed to get out on pretty much full health. So that's a good pickup as well down in that bottom lane. means they're keeping on top of Varus. Varus now at 0 and 2, does have his Bilgewater Cutlass though, so we'll start to trade maybe a little bit better in that lane. But when playing against an Evelynn, if she disappears, it's very difficult to tell whether she's still in lane or whether she's actually gone roaming, and with that pink ward it means that they haven't been able to track her down towards the mid lane. A little bit of unlucky timing for Spontex, as you could see that Amazing actually was on his way up to that top lane. I think if Amazing hadn't have been around, Spontex would have had a better time with it. You can see he's now starting to trade the damage back onto JWoww. Does have Agony's Embrace available for next time they have that kind of trade.
And the interesting thing right now is correct me if I'm wrong here, but Spontex looks like he's building Tiamat. He's actually gone for a longsword and a rejuve bead after his double Dorans. And actually in mid we had Spurblob having the flash and then go for the Riftwalk, but he's not going to be able to get that. And he's actually now going to back out.
Unleashed power is available though. Oh, sorry. To come in. Amazing's just going to miss it. There's the unleashed power. Does pick up the kill. Sorry for cutting you off there. I thought it was going to come out straight away. There's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. Yeah, JWoww now, yeah, in a bit of trouble here potentially. There is that top lane agent sitting around, and it does look like Spontex is also stealthed up. So he could, as far as JWoww is aware, he could have actually now roamed towards that bottom lane. Spontex is hanging around now. He has got the Agony's Embrace down. JWoww is going low, but he is going to be dived. Spontex wanting the aggression. He's tanking the tower here out for Jarvan, who is just going to be tanking that kill, and that is a good setup. I do again have a feeling Stress may have disconnected again, so that's not an ideal situation, but I will continue to talk because obviously that is what I'm good at. We do have this dragon now being taken. Peculiar Gaming are going to just get that for free. That is the problem with committing committing agent to that top lane, the amazing agent. Committing agent to that top lane obviously opens up the dragon, and now Spurblob putting down the damage. I'm still going to call him Spurblob on Grulum, but actually getting a bit of damage in return for his troubles there. After the silence has worn off, you can always try and counterattack, and that's what Grulum was doing there. It does look like he's getting some thorough warding down. He's obviously going to be just putting down the damage whenever he can, and that's just scary for Grulum. But if he commits hard now, he could well walk right into Amazing, who is hanging around in the background. We do potentially see it, and actually now the stun was missed there by Grulum with a depth charge coming in. I'm not sure they're going to get him before Riftwalk comes up though. They have got the ultimate down. The auto attack is going to pick it up by Amazing. The cooldown was actually done on Riftwalk, but nicely timed CC by Amazing locked him down, and that took advantage of his propensity towards committing there, and that is going to mean Grulum is in good shape now. Double Doran's rings and a Seeker's Arm Guard, and actually at top, JWoww in trouble now. He's knocking out Jarvan from his own ring, and actually Jarvan jumps back into the ring, but I don't think JWoww is going to get out of this. Spontex sticking to him. He's going to go down. There we go. Doesn't manage to pick up Spontex, who was getting quite low, but not really at a level that was too dangerous, and yeah, nicely played overall, and we are seeing Amazing circling around, going for this lane gang. We have got a lot of aggression coming out from the junglers. Seems like they feel all of these lanes are kind of swing lanes where you could really make something happen if you're aggressive, and we actually now have the pause coming in, so could well be the case that someone has DC'd here. Lag, says Thresh there, so that is probably why we do actually now, I think, have Stress returning into the cast though.
We do indeed. I'm sorry for that, guys. My internet seems to be, hindering things as well. But as we're in a pause, it looks like my internet is not the only internet that is messing up a little bit. And there is the ready coming out from Eternity. So it looks like we're getting back into game. And right, it looks like we've had a couple of kills since I went. I think I caught one in the mid lane just as I was lagging. But there was one up in the top as well. So, Eternity have themselves the kill lead, but the gold is in favour of Peculiar, only by about 800 though, so not the biggest of differences right now. This is probably one of the closer games we've had.
Yeah, that dragon takedown is what changed that around. We had Agent committed to top lane, picking up that kill with Spontex help. And then after that, obviously, Amazing grouped that bottom lane. They went for the dragon and they picked it up pretty cleanly. So yeah, nicely played overall. As I say, we did also see Kassadin committing quite hard in mid, and him getting picked out by the aggression. We actually got Spontex coming out of stealth there. Agony's Embrace goes down. Grulum is silenced. He's going down. Just so much burst, and coming out of stealth and the Riftwalk. This is a very mobile comp here from Eternity.
Is that Okay, so we've established that Evelynn is not building that TM, and of course there are other items that that Rejuve bead goes into. It has been turned into the Spirit Stone, but with that longsword, it kind of tells me that that's going towards Spirit, the Elder Lizard, which is somewhat of a strange item if that is indeed what Evelynn's going for. So something very unique coming out from Spontex in this game. They've taken down that top tower, so that will put the gold about 1,000 in the lead for Peculiar. And actually, JWoww is going to stop recalling there. Did see Spontex on the way up. Spontex getting dropped very low, going to flash over the wall. Will the ignite be enough? No, one tick away from killing, but JWoww gets himself a little bit more control in that lane. Has to fall back because here comes Agent.
Yeah, we do, as you say, have Agent hanging around here. He is just not going to be able to make anything happen. But Spirit of the Elder Lizard actually makes a lot of sense on Evelynn. She can actually apply the dot almost continually with that hate spike. And in bottom lane, Anton M landing the hook on Matroko. He's going to knock him into the place. The box goes down, and we have the Lantern as well. Vandenhove is going to have to try and dodge around this, but the ultimate comes down. Ace in the hole, not enough to pick up the kill. The shield and the Wild Growth going to be keeping out the death. And Varus will escape, but Vandenoob now getting saved by his trap. Nicely done there. And yeah, like I say, I should actually regale you with my tales of what I did just yesterday, actually. Coincidentally, I was playing EVE Jungle, and I actually built Spirit of the Elder Lizard as well. I was actually playing jungle, which kind of led me to that conclusion. Because one of the things is Eve's skills actually have AD ratios. She has an AD ratio that's pretty decent on both her E and her Q. So you can actually afford to build magic pens, stuff like Leandry, stuff like Sork Shoes, stuff like Doran's Rings actually as well, because they're just very solid all-around items. And then you can also get that Elder Lizard item, which will give you so many stats for your money, and it gives you that true damage proc, which is so good. And obviously you can keep applying it over and over. We have got the Spurblob in trouble. Actually putting down the pain on Grulum. He's going to get the damage on Spontex though, so Spontex actually just escapes with his life there.
Yeah, will manage to get away again, making a habit of this is Spontex, getting away sub 100 health. But that's another important sequence there in the mid lane. Kassadin now at 2 and 3. Means that, you know, he might have had a bit of a slow start to the game, getting caught out, getting delayed as well on those recalls for buying, but he's starting to find himself some footing in this game. And you can see that Syndra's actually got Seeker's Arm Guard and then forced to buy a Negatron Cloak. So that's not the flat damage that Syndra would really like to allow her to scale with this game a little better. She's been forced into 2 defensive items, so even though that'll help her survive a little bit longer, it means she's not going to be able to burst people down quite as quickly in these early team fights.
Yeah, her damage will still scale pretty well, and she has pretty decent base damages, especially if she has sufficient balls out. But, as you say, she will have a little bit of a lacking in the damage, but at the moment she needs these resistances because she's just getting picked off so easily. And at the moment, it feels very much like Peculiar Gaming need to run their comp in a way that suits them. They need to be forcing fights so that this mobility isn't going to keep biting them in the rear, because it's causing them so many problems at the moment. They aren't the ones dictating the pace of the game, so it's just, you know, you're seeing JWoww going up top now, and now Spontex and Spurblob could potentially make Grulum suffer, and he's actually going to be putting down the damage, putting down about half health, and Spontex is coming in. He couldn't see him. Ult comes down. Grulum gets deleted again. The ult goes down on Spurblob, but it's not going to be enough, and we do actually see the dragon in response here from Eternity, so that's a really, really solid pickup from them again.
Yeah, if they pick up this dragon, that's gonna, they'll be drawing this game pretty close here. They will actually take the lead by 100 gold. So this game is back and forth between the teams. Looks like Eternity now heading towards that top lane, bottom lane, sorry, but they do find that tri-bush warded with that pink. So we know exactly where they are. There is a trade going on in the mid lane. Superblob forced back away from this one. Nautilus was chasing him and actually used the depth charge on that as well. So good for Superblob to be able to get away from that, but Agent now being caught on as well.
Yeah, Amazing is actually so tanky at the moment that it means he actually trades well with almost anyone, puts down a lot of damage, comparative, and Spontex is going to need an opportunity to roam now. He's had to go back. JWoww is pressuring in this top lane. Kassadin will probably get there before long. JWoww actually threatening Spontex, but he may regret that decision because now Spontex is staying in. Spurblob could come around here, but it actually looks like he's not intending to, and it does look like JWoww is going to make himself scarce. He's aware that Jarvan is potentially roaming, and now Kassadin coming in is not going to be able to get anything done. So we get a little bit of a lull in the action now. Who do you feel right now is kind of at an advantage in this bottom lane?
It's a little bit of a different bot lane, because you can see Caitlyn's actually gone for the Blade of the Ruin King, which we haven't seen in a while. We've been seeing Caitlyn's building Affinity Edge or Bloodthirster as their first item just for that flat damage ever since the adjustments to Blade of the Ruin King. Varus is a fairly standard item on, and you can see just how much damage Varus is able to put out right now. He's pretty much one of the favoured AD carries for most AD players. And I still think this Varus Lulu lane is actually probably better off, but that kill on Caitlyn has been pretty much important to draw these items together.
Yeah, and right now you're seeing Vandernoop, obviously, with that Blade of the Ruin King double Dorans, versus Matroko's Blade of the Ruin King single Dorans and longsword. So there is actually a slight statistical advantage to Caitlyn, but obviously Varus has a lot more damage built into his kit. Now Spontex is actually roaming towards this mid yet again, looking for these kills, because this is the problem with Syndra. If she's silenced or her E is on cooldown, which she did just use, she's not going to be able to get it. We actually have Spontex going ham here. He's going to be just going under the tower, doesn't even care. Grulum is going to be living. Nope, no he's not. There we go. Spur Blob ulting in and then getting the Q off. Just, it's such a good combo. Kassadin and Evelynn are just almost impossible for an unsafe mid like Syndra to prevent killing her.
Yeah, and she's been caught out quite a few times now. She was at 1 and 2, now at 1 and 4. So she's having a tricky time now in that mid lane. And you can see that Thresh and Caitlyn now putting the pressure back on towards Varus and Lulu. Putting a lot of damage down onto Caitlyn, uses that Blade of the Ruin King, but they both have quite a lot of lifesteal for this point in the game, and means that right now they're just pretty much just trading damage off against each other, and doesn't look like either really want to engage. Anton is probably just going to wait until he can find that death sentence and then going on it. There's not really any point in Thresh and Caitlyn engaging on towards that. Up in that top lane, JY was actually managed to find himself an inner turret though. Agent is going to catch on. Here comes Spontex as well. JY is not going to live all that much longer, but that turret is going to be a good signal for Peculiar, because they pretty much just got that for free. I mean, 1 kill for an inner turret, that seems pretty worth it to me.
Oh yeah, that's definitely worth it. But in bot lane, we did actually see Chain of Corruption going down. We saw the Lantern keeping out the safe Caitlyn there, so they're actually going to hold on to that tower. And we do have Kassadin now coming in from the side. Matroko is going to be pretty decent health, but it actually looks like Kassadin is not intending to go for a gank here. They aren't on enough health to really make that worthwhile. And the mid tower actually goes down to a minion there, so it's a little bit unfortunate from the perspective of Eternity. And yeah, this is the one problem with the fact that Spontex has been roaming so much, is that it has allowed JWoww to put down a lot of damage on the towers. I mean, you can see it there. He's just gone for that inner tower already. It has cost Grulum a lot, but JWoww is, as a result, fairly solid on the tower takes, and that's kind of why their gold is still roughly similar. They are quite ahead on towers.
Yeah, and as you said, gold is equal right about now, as it actually ticks to, it must be only about 70 to 80 gold difference, because one ticks up, then the other ticks up, so they are very, very close right now between the two teams. Kassadin with 3-3 and 1 is now has the Rod of Ages finished alongside a Tear of the Goddess. How stacked is that tier? 456 already, so doing a good job of stacking that tier up is Super Blob, and he's going to end up pretty much becoming quite a terror on this game as it keeps going on. He's going to have so much mobility that it's going to be pretty difficult to shut him down here, and Grulum has kind of struggled with that for the past couple of minutes. As we said, 1 and 4 now. Not depth charge, sorry. That's Dredge line. I've missed a fight in the bot lane, sorry. Spud, can you take that away?
Yes, there is a fight. There was indeed a fight going in that bot lane. What we saw there was the Varus Lulu lane kind of overcommitting. They were aware that Jarvan had been there and aware that he had backed off, but they did not notice him going all the way around through the tri-brush and then back round near golems and then coming out behind them as they tried to push it back to their tower. They had, as I say, lost their tower then, so that's actually cost them Varus' life there, and that's going to be expensive. He's not going to have that wave. He's not also going to be able to get, just the gold that he needs at the moment. That's just not a good state for him at the moment. So Caitlyn now definitely opening up a significant lead, though Varus is still doing an admirable job of keeping up on the farm here. So 7,800 gold on the Varus to it's only 300 gold advantage to Caitlyn. It's only a kill equivalent, which is kind of surprising, really. And we are now seeing some damage going down on that ward, but it's not going to be happening. We have potentially got a fight here. Eternity are coming around here. They have got a little bit of poke down on them, though, so they're having some difficulty. We've got the stun on Agent from Grulum. We've actually got the Blade of the Rune King active and the Caitlyn damage over the wall. Grulum now getting dived by Agent, but he's regretting that decision immensely and jumps right out. We've got Kassadin jumping in and then trying to jump out. Anton M in the middle now, going low. We have got Spontex also able to take out Matrocco in the process, so he's actually not regretting his decision so much, but not a good fight there from Eternity. I feel they've actually come out significantly worse.
Yeah, and I thought at the beginning of that fight it was actually going to go a little bit better for Eternity. The Unleashed Power got used on Caitlyn and actually didn't kill her, and any time really that Syndra's using her ultimate and it's only taking somebody to around about a half health, kind of means that's a lot of your damage wasted on one person that managed to get out of the back of the fight anyway. So a good turnaround there for Peculiar Gaming to actually take that fight in the end. I thought they were going to struggle a little bit with that one, but end up coming ahead and they take the dragon as well. So now they find themselves 1,000 gold in the lead here, 3 turrets to 2. Will they be able to find anything else on the map?
It's looking like right now it's going to be difficult for anyone to push any towers. They're kind of, both teams are now kind of in control of the only towers that are at any risk, because there's only one outer tower really for each team left. The bottom lane is going to be very, very difficult to take down from Eternity, and the middle tower too going to be a little bit difficult unless there's a decisive team fight. It could also get poked down, but I don't think that mid tower will, because obviously the poke advantage at the moment is going to Peculiar Gaming. They've got Varus, they've got Jace, they've got the Syndra stun. They've got some really solid damage at decent range, and that's going to mean they're going to come out ahead of this poke against the poke that they're against, because the poke that they're against, if you follow me, is basically just Kassadin maybe, or Caitlyn, because those two are not brilliant pokers themselves, but at least they have some kind of range damage, and it's potentially now going to be seeing Vandernoob in a lot of trouble. We have got the stun going down, does get the net off, but it's not going to be enough, I suspect. Rulin putting down the damage. We have got the anchor, and the ultimate comes down, but it's not enough. She has built too tanky to do that damage. Can't 100-0 anyone. Spontex now in a bit of an awkward spot. He's going to be running away from Grulum, who is going to be throwing balls around, but we have got Lulu here in on the side. The stun goes down. Spontex is going to get taken out. He's putting down some damage on Philox in the process, but it's not going to be enough. Caitlyn is going to recall, though, and now JWoww actually in mid is going to be in trouble. You've got the Lantern going down, and Eternity Spirit Blob is coming in from the side. JWoww gets hooked, and now it's going to be not actually a dangerous situation at all. Amazing flashes over the wall, and they decided probably better to back out instead.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting turn of events there. We had very similar situations with both AD carries looking like they were a little bit caught out. You could see that Spontex actually went very aggressive onto Matrocco down in that bottom lane and actually ended up getting caught out. Matrocco was about 100 health, forced, I believe, to use... Yeah, Barrier was not available at the time and didn't have his flash either, but just managed to get out of that fight as well. So that's how Spontex ended up quite that deep behind enemy lines and ended up getting surrounded. So a little bit unlucky for Spontex that he didn't at least pick up the kill for that, but Caitlyn managed to get away from the similar situation as well.
Yeah, Caitlyn is definitely going to be thanking her team for the amount of roaming that they did to mid. Grulum, just normally a Syndra at this stage of the game, probably would not be as tanky as Grulum is. I mean, he's only got 263 AP though, and that is why he was not able to 100-0 her. Even though he landed pretty much the full combo, it just wasn't quite enough, and that is not a good situation. It does look like Grulum is going to roam around with the rest of the team now. They are clearing out the pink wards. They are having that Oracle on Philox, putting down pinks and others everywhere. Kassadin going to be obviously Kassadin, so they're not going to try and burst him down suddenly because it would just be a little bit too difficult to pin him down. Philox actually has not spotted out that ward there. He's just going to be clearing that out now. Does look like that mid ward as well will be cleared out, and it's just some really solid vision control at the moment. They have definitely got the area around Baron under their control. And that's good for them, because at the moment it seems like Eternity are not winning in these actual team fights. They're having a lot of trouble if it comes to a straight up fight, but it is going to force Eternity to react to them now.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a surprise to me, because with that Cataclysm and the Agony's Embrace, that's a lot of damage and control all in that small area. So a little bit surprised they're not quite having that good a time in the team fights, but we'll see as that goes on. This is kind of one of these compositions where if they can hit that, then it should go pretty well for them, but if they don't really hit it like we saw at that dragon fight, then kind of things are a little bit more tricky for them to handle. You can see Javan's actually off towards the side, might be able to get a Cataclysm here. Chains of Corruption did go down with the Dredge line as well. Piercing Arrow is actually going to catch on. There is the depth charge on towards Caitlyn. The rest of Eternity are falling back. There's the box out fresh, but it's just a little bit too late. They haven't really used all of their abilities on top of each other. Spontex getting dropped as well. Dredgeline's going to catch on towards, will end up falling. Superblob picks up Grullim, and Spontex picked himself up a kill as well. Ace in the Hole comes out, and it was only Amazing that was left available. Superblob is cleaning this fight up, so even though their abilities didn't really all catch on towards each other, Superblob's earlier kills in this game have started to turn around for him.
What happened there, I feel, was that Peculiar Gaming were aware they actually got kind of outmaneuvered. They wanted to bait that Baron there, but what happened was that Jarvan just kept throwing flags over the wall periodically while the rest of the team pushed mid. They basically called the bluff, and they actually did not want to just allow that mid tower to fall without them getting a fight. So they desperately pushed for it, and they did actually manage to make a fight happen. But in so doing, they overextended themselves. They blew several cooldowns just trying to get in range, and Vandermoof was too far out for them to capitalize when the depth charge hit him. So obviously he was then able to come back in. He was able to lifesteal himself back up to a kind of okay amount of damage. And was able to just put down a lot of damage. We had Spontex locking up quite a large amount of the team, and it was a really, really solid all-around performance there from Eternity. They just played that fight very well, and as you say though, Spurblob, as I will continue calling him, he just cleaned up.
Yeah, now you've got Kassadin at 6-4 and 5 and an Evelynn at 6-3 and 9, and that's a lot of magic damage that's coming out from them. Nautilus does have that Runic Bulwark. I'm not sure exactly how long he's had that for. It looks like Peculiar want to catch on towards with a dragon here. This might be a little deadly for them, although they did manage to turn it around in the last fight, but it looks like they just fall back from it. Will Eternity go for this themselves? They are 3,000 gold in the lead here. It would put them ahead even more. Jace has recalled, so Peculiar might look to stall this one out, but they just can't really get in there without... they did have the vision in the back, but they couldn't really get around the side. They did just lose a fight, so not really what they want to do again, drop a lot more kills to them. So Eternity picked themselves up a dragon, and they're putting themselves closer and closer to that 5,000 gold in the lead mark.
Yeah, that's fairly significant at this stage of the game, but it's not what it would be at 20 minutes. At 20 minutes, we'd be saying, okay, now there's a really big hill to climb, but it's very possible for Peculiar to still win any of these fights. We're now seeing Syndra actually starting to get... Actually not going to be going for that Rabadon, she's gone for that Zhonya's Hourglass, just looking to stay alive in these fights, looking to put down the CC and a little bit more damage kind of over time with those extra Qs that she'll get off, but that's going to make her damage still not that great. She's relying on follow-up damage from the rest of her team if she wants to take out Caitlyn from these fights, and that could prove difficult for her. At the moment, she's just not able to kind of get in close. She's tankier than a normal mage, but at the same time, she is not tanky enough to dive an entire team, and that could mean that if Nautilus is diving hard, she's going to have to kind of stay at the back and not get in range to use her ultimate. Though she has hit level 16 now, so it has got that range buff on it, which is actually super nice for making Syndra work late game in terms of just not getting focused out horribly in team fights.
Yeah, and Peculiar now are under the siege from Eternity, but they do have a lot of wave clear with that Piercing Arrow, with the Shock Blast as well. It's going to be a little bit difficult for Eternity to really siege like they were looking at doing. Thresh going to clear out those wards in the jungle as well. Spontex looking for something around the front maybe. Will get caught by the Shock Blast. Shock Blast is actually not doing as much damage as you'd expect it right now, but in these team fights, Jace is going to do a lot of damage with that Mura mana and the rest of his items. With that Black Cleaver, obviously that's going to end up stacking up, reducing the armor, so a little bit different to what we normally see here. Goes Spontex. Will he use that Agony's Embrace? I believe it only actually ended up catching 2 of them, so not as many as they would have liked. Cataclysm used flashed out from Matroka. They will pick up that tower, so overall they get themselves that tower in the process, but a couple of important ultimates were used there, and they won't be available if Eternity decide to fight again.
Yeah, they're very keen to make this fight happen while they've got Baron. We've actually got the hook going down, but actually missing Gruulem popping Zonius, who's going to keep her alive. Spurblop did get locked down, but the damage goes down. Gruulem gets taken out. We've now got the kill in return. Anton M has been blown up. Vilox now going to be having to back out. I've got some damage coming down, as I say, but Eternity is definitely coming out strong here. They have more health. Spontex goes ham. He's going under the tower, but actually not going to be able to get anything from it. Does force the flash, though, and he forces them away from the inhib, so that is the fight Eternity wanted. That is the objective Eternity wanted. It is going to be looking for the re-engage there. Amazing going aggro, but he may regret that decision. He's getting re-engaged upon himself. He is trying to get away, but he's not going to be able to do it. Spontex is actually taking a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough. He's got too much armor. Vilox now going down. Spurblow going to be cleaning this up. Matroka going down very quickly. The ace in the hole comes in. We've actually got probably the game-ending situation here. GG well played comes out. Very nicely played indeed. And I've got to say, that was kind of sudden.
It was kind of sudden indeed. That aggression that came out from Amazing right at the end, I think he thought he could catch on towards the members of Eternity and get more damage down and maybe try and reclaim some of the, the golden advantage that they'd just lost. And Spontex right at the end managed to hit a very nice Agony's Embrace just as it came off cooldown. As I believe it was one of Syndra's balls was actually flying straight towards him, used that Agony's Embrace and got the shield from hitting a champion, and actually kept himself alive because he would have died without it. And they ended up then being able to take the rest of the members of Peculiar down and ended up, coming through in that game. And I'm not quite sure that was quite the result I was expecting when we were at about the 10 to 15 minute mark of that game.
Yeah, Peculiar Gaming kind of were winning a lot of team fights, and then they just sort of started losing them. I couldn't tell you exactly what the turning point was, but it was still a surprising turnaround. And I've got to say, I just want to comment briefly, because I really like Evelyn's build here on that Spontex, because what he's done there is he's actually made it so that Syndra has a choice. She can either try and burst Eve and get her combo Zonya'd, or she can take no magic damage at all. And for that, she's built tons of armor. So she's actually like a sustained damage bruiser mage hybrid thing. And it's a really, really solid setup. Very good initiator, very good damage. And just really, really good play overall. In fact, all that roaming went well. But we are going to be going into a quick commercial break now.